What's up, you guys? It's your favorite awkward girl on the internet. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I figured why not do my labor story. Yeah, I don't know. It's a video I like to watch on YouTube, so why not add mine to the mix of everything? So yeah, today I'm going to be doing my labor story. So if you're not interested in my labor story, I would definitely recommend leaving, but I'm sure you've seen the title. You clicked here knowing what you were getting into. It's gonna be TMI. Just get over it. It's gonna be fine. But yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I am a mom. I'm a mom, and I have a 23-month-old child. My child will be 2 in 1 month. Can we just let that sink in for a minute? 2. My child will be 2. It's been 2 years since I pushed him out of me. 2 years, I can't believe it. But yes, I have a almost 2-year-old son whose name is RJ, and he is the best thing in the entire world. And I have a video on here about my pregnancy experience, basically pregnancy and panic disorder. So if you want to see that, I will put like a little icon somewhere, I don't know which side, and you can watch that. But I figured since I've told you guys what my pregnancy was like, might as well tell you my birth story thingamabob. So, I gave birth to RJ when he was 37 weeks and 5 days. Technically full term. I don't know if I went into detail about any of this in my other video, but RJ started trying to come at 29 weeks. So there was a lot of hospital visits, there was a lot of magnesium, there's a lot of another medication I don't know that makes you feel horrible, and I would never recommend it to anybody. But basically we were doing everything to keep him inside of me. So once we hit 37 weeks, I was like, I made it. So I was sitting in bed, my husband was at work, and I was just laying there watching TV, as I did because I was on bed rest for 3 months. And I distinctly remember hearing a pop, like a audible pop. And I was like, that sounded like it came from inside of me, but I'm gonna ignore it. And as I'm sitting there, I kind of feel like I'm kind of leaking. Like I feel like I have some hair. I have some like fluid coming out of me. And so like I get up, I check, I go to the bathroom and check, and I notice like a little bit of like blood and stuff. Not like crazy, but just like more mucusy than anything. TMI, I told you guys this was going to be TMI. If you're not ready for TMI, leave now. But it was a little mucusy, and I was like, that's not that's not my usual routine. So I go back to bed, and I still feel like I'm kind of leaking. So like I get up and I check, because like, in my head I'm just like, is this it? Is this it? Because I've been totally ready. It's like this weird mixed feeling of course you want your baby to stay in as long as possible because you want them to bake and look cute and pretty when they come out, but also you're so done with being pregnant. And so like I'm getting a little excited, but I also like am not getting super excited because I'm like, this is just me overthinking it. I'm gonna get myself excited and it's gonna be a letdown. I'm not actually in labor, whatever. So like I changed my underwear, and like I noticed, okay, I'm definitely leaking. And so I sit back in bed, nice and comfy, and all of a sudden, whoosh, it feels like I just peed the bed. Like all of it just came out all at once. And they tell you when you get pregnant not to expect the gush of water, because it rarely happens like that for most moms, like it does in the movies and TV shows. But I swear, it was a gush, and it was like, I had no control. It just all came out. And like, it's such a weird sensation because it's like you're peeing the bed, but it's just, it keeps coming and coming. And it was everywhere, all over the bed. And the first thing I did was I texted my husband, and I was like, yep, my water just broke. I'm in labor. We need to go to the hospital. And he was at work. So, and mind you, where we lived was 30 minutes away from the hospital. So, just, yeah. And then, because we were living with my husband's parents at the time, long story, check out the other video if you're interested to knowing why we were. But I called my stepmother-in-law, and I was like, so, my water broke. She was like, oh, okay. And so she comes in and she helps me change. And by this point, as soon as my water broke, like, full-blown contractions start. Like, I was just, like, laying in bed normal. And I'd had Braxton Hicks contractions since I was, like, 16 weeks pregnant. Don't know if that's normal, but my pregnancy was anything but normal. So I was going from just relaxation to full-blown water broke, full-blown contractions. She helped me change. My husband finally got home, and both her and my husband, we all got into the car, me with a towel underneath me, because if you don't know, when your water breaks, your water continues to just leak out of your body. And we head towards the hospital. And literally every bump in the road was agony. My contractions were coming at least every 2 minutes, and it was horrible. It was literally horrible. And the hospital was 30 minutes away from us. So my fear was like going into complete and full labor and having the baby in the car, which is like my nightmare. And we get there, and they take me up to the room where they check to make sure you're actually in labor, and I'm like, well, my water broke. Like, I'm in labor, I promise you I'm in labor, my water is broken. There's no going back. But they have to make sure, so they swab you to make sure it's actually amniotic fluid coming out, and I'm sitting there waiting in pain. I had full intention of getting an epidural. I'm a pansy, I know. So they come back and they're like, yep, it's amniotic fluid, you're in labor. Let's move you to another room. So they're like, they tell me to get up and walk to the other room. And I'm like, don't you guys normally have like a wheelchair or something I can use? Like, I'm kind of leaking fluid everywhere. And so the nurse, she hands me a towel and she says to stick it between my legs and waddle to the other room. So I do. Kind of awkward, but I do it anyway. So we get into the other room, they hook me up to fluids, and they tell me I can't get an epidural until I have at least one bag of fluids. Now this wait for the epidural was horrible. I was in so much pain, and everyone else around me was super excited. My mom had gotten there at that point. My husband told everybody, so everybody was showing up, and I'm just like, I can't. I just couldn't handle it. It was horrible. So it's gonna be a long video, oh god. So we get the full bag of fluids in me. They give me the epidural. Now, I was not afraid of the epidural. I was totally like, I was ready. I was ready for the pain to stop. The pain of contractions was way worse than the pain of an epidural. So they give me the epidural, I lay down, and I'm like, well, I can still feel one side. One side of my body is not numb. And so they give it a minute, and they realize we have to do another epidural. So they do another epidural, and by this point, I'm so numb that I cannot move from like my abs down. I couldn't move my legs, I couldn't sit up. Like, if they were to ask me, can you sit up? I couldn't move anything. Nothing could be moved. Because normally when you get an epidural, you can at least move your legs, you can sit up and things like that, but no, there was nothing. There was nothing. And so when I got to the hospital, I was 4 centimeters dilated. And my total labor, like, total process of labor was only 12 hours. 12 hours for a first-time mom is pretty good. But here's the kicker. I pushed for 3 hours. 3 hours. I pushed. And when I watch other people's like birth vlogs and they're like, oh, I pushed like 3 times and it came out, or like I pushed for 15 minutes and then the baby was here and it was amazing, and I pushed for 3 hours. Yes, I had an epidural and I could feel none of it, but still, pushing is hard work. And yeah, so I pushed for 3 hours. I the whole time they're telling me you're probably most likely going to have a C-section. You have a very tiny, tiny birthing canal, and it's just we're going to have to do a C-section if you can't push him out. And by this point, when I first went in, I was like, I want a C-section. I was scared of pushing. But they convinced me, you're young, you're fine, you can push. And so I'd been pushing for 3 hours, and when they're telling me I might have to get a C-section, I was like, no, I did not push for 3 hours to have a C-section. And so I pushed the hardest that I could push, and I somehow managed to push this tiny 5-pound, 10-ounce baby out of me, and he was born. He was born at, hold up. Okay, yes, he was 5 pounds, 10 ounces, and he was born at 2:12 p.m. And, yeah, sorry, I forget the numbers easily. But yes, 2:12 p.m. he was 5 pounds, 10 ounces, and he was 18 inches long. So he was a little itty bitty thing, and I'll insert pictures of my little one so you can see. He looked like a little grumpy old man, but I loved him anyway. He was born with lots of hair, and I was able to push him out. Now, of course, I did tear, which sucks. I don't recommend it. It happens all the time, but yes, I did tear. So I had, I think, 3 stitches. I really don't know. I know I had stitches. But he was here, and he was beautiful, and when they put your baby on your chest for the very first time, it's literally the most magical moment in the entire world, especially when you've pushed for 3 hours, and it's just, you want to see him so bad, and then he comes, and it's literally the most amazing thing that you've ever done in your entire life. Like, he is the most amazing thing that has ever happened to me. And getting him here wasn't the easiest task, but I wouldn't change it for the world. He is literally the best thing in the entire world. But yeah, so we stayed in the hospital for, I think, 3 days. I lost a lot of blood when in labor, and so they had to get my hemoglobin levels up and watch him, just because he was a little early. But so yeah, we went home after 3 days, and that was pretty much it. He's been amazing so far. Yeah, healing was not fun. I had a really hard time with healing, but I have to say, after about 3 to 4 weeks, I was feeling pretty good, which is a lot longer than a lot of people healing, but that's just me. But anyways, yeah, that's how my little one came into the world. I don't know if anybody will ever be interested in this, but I love watching these videos on YouTube. For whatever reason, when you become a mom, you become obsessed with your birthing story, and you want to share it with anybody who will listen, even with people that won't listen. So yeah, it was amazing, and I never thought in the entire world, I never thought I would be able to do it. I was so scared of birth and labor. It was like a huge fear for me, and let alone pushing. I had always conceded to having a C-section, and I pushed him out. Now, I didn't do it all natural, but I'm proud of myself for pushing him out and just having a baby. Holy crap. You never think that your body can do that kind of thing, but it can. It's crazy. Anyways, I've rambled for long enough. This was my birthing story. I'll link my video about pregnancy and panic disorder down below if you're interested. And like, share, subscribe, all of those fun things. Leave me comments down below of what you would like me to do next. If you want to see anything specific from me, let me know. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.